Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of FloridaManFirearms. Today on the table we got a whole bunch of 9mm service size handguns. In this video we're going to talk about if you're a police officer or a security guard, an armed guard, what would you look for basically in a service handgun. Now you have striker fired, you have hammer fired. It's really a subjective thing what a person would look for. But I'm going to go over what I would look for personally. These are all 9mm just to keep the playing field level. Personally, I would go for a striker-fired handgun for one. Whether it be a Glock or a Sig, it's really a preference. Me, I would go for the Glock handgun just because I've shot it for so many years. I'm used to carrying a Glock pistol, but the Glock 17 is probably on this table the most popular service handgun in the world, not just the United States. It's just got the track record over 35 years. It's probably one of the most common choices of a pistol. Second, we got the Israeli Jericho. This is the 941 Jericho, chambered in 9mm. This gun has seen quite a bit of use in Israel. They don't really use it as much as they used to, but even today I've seen Israeli IDF guys still run Jericho pistols. It's basically a copy of the CZ75, which is a really good design. It's a heavy pistol, and that's another thing you got to consider when choosing a service pistol is weight. Which, in my opinion, why the striker fire polymer guns get kind of an edge, because they are lightweight, and it's the same trigger pull. But going back to the Jericho, this gun, because it is heavy, it shoots very smooth. Like, this gun feels like it's on rollers. The magazine changes are very, very slick. I mean, you can get it in and out real quick. It comes out real good. The magazines are Metgar mags. They are very, very smooth. Trigger is good. Now this gun doesn't have a decocker. It is a double single action, but it does not have a decocker. It just has a manual safety right here. So manual safety, it's like a 1911. But if you were to, the only way to safely decock this weapon is to thumb the hammer down, and yeah, do that at your own discretion. You can also fire it double action with the safety on or off, so it does have a double action pull, and then every shot fired after that is single action, and the single action is very nice on these guns. I do give them that. Next we have probably the most second or third popular 9mm handgun in police and security holsters is the M&P. The M&P handgun has come a long way. When these first came out, a lot of people did not like them. You know, they just looked at them as a Glock ripoff. But this one specifically is a limited edition 2.0 M&P 9mm with suppressor height sights, and it's got the cut for the optic. But this is just a real nice gun. The 2.0 triggers are a lot better than the original M&P triggers. This one's also got a threaded barrel. You know, if you want to use it for home defense, you can run some 147 grains with a suppressor on it, so you won't blow your ears out. But these guns are very rigid. The one thing I will say about the 2.0s is Smith & Wesson put a metal chassis in the polymer frame, and they extended it on the 2.0s up to the dust cover here, so it makes it a lot more rigid. But the gun, for a polymer gun, it feels very solid. They make these in 40 and 45 as well. Very popular handguns. Tampa PD, our local PD, carried these for, God, 10 years until they switched to the Sig Sauer. I was just in Texas this past weekend. Houston PD runs these as well. California police departments run them. They have that track record of service. So that's the M&P 2.0 9mm. Excellent choice. I don't care what the Glock fanboys say, this is a great gun, and that's coming from a Glock fanboy. Alright, so our next pistol we have here is a Slovenian pistol. This is the ARex Rec01. This is basically their take on a 226. It's basically a variant of a 226. This gun has some service in Europe. As far as the United States, I'm not too sure, but I know some Slovenian police, due to national pride, carry this gun. And these guns are really good performers. I have to say, we've shot the crap out of this gun, and it works. It's very reliable. I remember seeing Tim's torture test on this from the Military Arms channel. I believe that's what led the owner of this gun to buy it. And we've taken it out to the range multiple times, and it just performs. It's got a really good single action trigger, in my opinion. The slide stop on this gun, unlike the Sig Sauer, acts, so the decocker acts as a slide stop, and that's something that's different from the Sig. And then of course you just use it to decock the hammer. It's got an internal extractor, like the old school Sigs. 1913 rail. Like I said, this gun, I really don't believe it has any service in American police departments, but I'm pretty sure there's some private security officers here in the States that carry this gun if they can't afford a Sig, because this is like a Sig will run you $1,000. This will probably run you about maybe $750 and some change. It's a good alternative. It's a very reliable pistol in our testing of it. So I don't think you could go wrong with it. So the Slovenian ARex 01. So let's go ahead and look at the Italian Stallion. This one is probably my favorite hammer-fired pistol of all time, the Beretta. There's a lot of good things to say about the Beretta. I know a lot of military veterans have some opinions of this pistol. I didn't serve in the military, but I can tell you right now, the military beat the crap out of their Berettas, which led to a lot of military veterans having negative opinions of them, because the military, all the branches that had these did not service them correctly, which a lot of people had a bad taste. But the Beretta 92, or the M9, this is probably one of the most tested handguns, besides the HK Mark 23 and the Sig Sauer 226. This is probably one of the most tested handguns out there. Beretta really hit this out of the ballpark back in the 80s when they designed it. As y'all know, this was replaced by the M17, but if you buy a brand new Beretta like this one, it's just a buttery smooth action. It feels like it's on rollers, and it's a smooth shooting pistol. It truly is. You can get it to a Type G, where it's like a decocker only, but this is a decocker safety model. The double action trigger on this, it's heavy. It's a standard Beretta trigger. The single action, it could be better, but it's very good. It's very doable. But this gun right here, just an amazing gun. It's probably, now all these guns are really reliable. They all have track records, but the one thing I love about the Beretta is the barrel does not tilt. They kind of borrowed from the Walther P320, the dropping block design, where the barrel doesn't tilt, so it stays in line with the magazine. That being said, it's almost impossible for this gun to jam. I don't think I've ever seen a Beretta 92 jam, because the round directly feeds into the chambers, so it's like a direct feed. If the round sticks up, and it feeds directly in that chamber, which I think is just a really awesome thing. And the open top design, so you're basically not going to have any stovepipes of any kind. That, to me, that gives the Beretta 92 series an advantage over all these guns personally. It's just that it's almost impossible to jam this thing. Now, it's a machine. Yeah, if you throw some dirt and mud on it, I have no doubt it'll jam. But the Beretta has a special place in my heart as a really good service pistol. If you were to choose this as a service pistol, as an armed guard, or even a home defense gun, I wouldn't fault you for it. As far as police agencies here in America, I know for a fact LAPD still runs these. Some of their officers still run these. I'm a nerd. I watch a lot of shooting videos, and a lot of them come out of LA. I've seen multiple videos, body cam videos, where LA cops are running these. So they're still being ran in police holsters. Not as much, but they are still being ran. And all around the world, the Beretta 92 is still being used. This pistol isn't going nowhere for a very long time. So that's the Beretta 92. Now let's go to the newest, the latest and greatest pistol that's in the media a lot, the Sig P320. Now the P320 is a pistol covered in just pure, either you like it or you hate it. Sig Sauer had some issues with drop testing. Now, personally, I've carried this gun. I've carried an M17 as an arm guard. I carried it for like 6 months, and then I went back to a Glock. But I carried one in the chamber, had no issues with it. Usually I carried it with the safety off because I really, I just didn't see the whole. So here's the thing. This gun passed all the drop tests, right? There was a video where the gun fell at this angle, and the heavier trigger, this one has the updated trigger, but the one with the heavier trigger, when it fell at this angle, because the trigger was heavy, it would go off. Now, according to some literature that I read, when it's dropped from this angle, that's not part of the federal drop test or whatever. So it passed all the federal drop tests, dropping it here, there, everywhere else except for here, apparently, this one angle. Now, they fixed this trigger and they made it lighter. And I've seen multiple videos with this new trigger to where it's been dropped right there and the gun does not fire with this new trigger. So Sig fixed the issue. There's a lot of lawsuits going around where police officers are suing Sig because the gun went off uncommanded in their holsters. We have an issue with the Tampa Police Department officer where supposedly his gun went off in his holster. Now, Tampa Police Department, like every other police department, issues Safariland ALS, SLS holsters. As an armed guard, that's the same holster I use for my Glock. When I carried this handgun, it was in an ALS, SLS holster. Carried it for 6 months with a round in the chamber, safety off. Did not have one discharge. So, for the sake of police saving their face and not making them look bad, I think these officers are fucking around with the gun, or they're putting them in the wrong holster. That's just my opinion. I'm not defending Sig. I understand they had an issue in the beginning. I totally get that, but there's a lot of people that carry this firearm, whether it be the compact or the full size, with a round in the chamber, condition 1, and Kydex holsters, and you don't see people on the internet constantly saying they're getting shot by their guns going off uncommanded. So I think those police officers, in my opinion, are kind of making up some stuff when it comes to their incidences. But that's just my opinion. So, but the Sig Sauer P320 is an amazing handgun. The cool thing about this, and I hope Glock follows suit, me being a Glock fanboy, Sig Sauer and Smith & Wesson even caught on to it. Sig Sauer makes an aluminum frame, so you don't have to stick with polymer. You can get an AXG frame, and that's the cool thing about this. You can take the chassis out and switch frames, and it's one gun. Glock, if they make a Generation 6, I hope they come out with like an aluminum frame, because I think that's awesome. Walther did. Smith & Wesson has the MMP 2.0 metal. I think that's kind of going to be the new trend, in my opinion, in the coming years. Striker-fired guns with aluminum frames. So hopefully in the next couple of years we'll see that from Glock. But yeah, this is the P320. Great handgun. Military service. A lot of the military people that I talked to out of the 101st Airborne, I have a couple friends there. They like it. They were the first unit to get it. A majority of their opinions were, nah, they didn't care with or without it, but the overall opinion, they like the gun, which is a good thing. And there's videos of them shooting, and they seem to be enjoying the firearm. So it's not necessarily a bad or a good gun. It's just something that's more simple. It's a single trigger pull compared to the double action, single action. You can get slimmer grip modules for female shooters, and that helps overall with qualification scores, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is getting your troops qualified, making sure they're up to date on their scores. But yeah, so that's the Sig P320, and like I said, you can choose any one of these firearms. A 9mm, I think they're all great choices for duty or home protection. You can't go wrong with any of these firearms. So sorry for the long video, guys. Didn't really mean to make it that long, but that'll be the video, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.